Okay, we are back with more Please Be Happy. In the last one, we started learning how to read and write, and I loved it. And we are just gonna jump right into it because I don't know what else to say at the beginning of these. So, haha. Work's been quiet today, with only a handful of patrons coming in at all. The few still here keep to themselves, quietly reading and browsing the aisles. I'd normally be bored on a day like this. It's a good thing that I have something new to keep me occupied during my downtime then. A few of the worksheets and books that Aspen gave me yesterday are spread out on the desk, out of the way of our customers, but still where I can see them. Whenever I get a few minutes to myself, I practice writing letters or memorizing their sounds. When I have to write down titles that are being checked out, I pay more attention to what exactly I'm writing. I'm pleased to notice that it goes faster now than it did before. I still have a long way to go, but I can feel myself making progress with every word I finish. That sense of pride helps motivate me to keep trying. I love that when you actually like pay hard attention to like the progress you're making. That alone is such a good motivator. Even when I'm away from the desk, tidying things up or putting books away, I try to think about letters and words. It's nice to have something to focus on rather than just trying to find ways to fill the hours. Just as I settle back down to work after a quick lunch, Juliet comes down from her room with a folded parasol and Parasol. Parasol, I was right. I doubted myself. In hand, with a calm nod of greeting, she walks up and joins me behind the desk.
You're up early. Yes, I had some daylight errands to attend to. How are you doing, Mia? Great. Check it out.
I show her one of my worksheets, which was really just a blank piece of paper. What the freak? I show her one of my worksheets, which was really just a blank piece of paper. On it, I've written my name over and over to practice. The first few, okay, most of them are fairly messy. I think I get the hang of it by the end of the page, though, and those ones are more legible. I offer the paper to Juliet, who looks it over with a smile.
Great job. I'm very proud of you. Thanks. I'm proud of me too.
That was so cute. Guys, if you can't tell, I just think that like all the girls, this whole game, literally everything about it is just so cute and comfy. This is absolutely just like a comfort game for me, and I love it.
Not this time. I'm just making a couple deliveries that can't wait until the evening. Will you be alright here by yourself?
We will do our best.
I think I've got the hang of everything by now.
Also, we can read now. We've leveled up. I'm pretty used to handling my duties on my own. If there ever was a problem, it wouldn't be hard to go find Juliet and get her help. That hasn't happened yet, thankfully.
Excellent. I know I've said it before, but you've been a great help around the library. I appreciate your hard work.
Hey man, anytime.
Oh, it's not that hard.
You do let me live here for free.
It gives me something to do.
Also, you let me live here for free.
That's nice to hear. Don't forget to take some time for yourself and
To-
have fun
to-
every now and then.
To me, that's the main part is the free rent. If I had that, I would also work. I would do anything you asked. I think that's some advice that Juliet herself should follow more often, but I keep that opinion to myself.
I will.
Yeah.
I'm going to the museum after this.
Wait.
Aspen told me there's an exhibit all about Korea going on there. So I'm hoping maybe I'll learn something useful.
So, Juliet can only come out at night. We finish our work at night. Juliet could totes my goats. Come with us. You know what I'm saying?
Useful? Yeah, like about my person.
For some reason, did we talk about did Miho come from Korea? For some reason, like that doesn't feel wrong, if that makes sense. But I also don't remember us learning where she was originally from.
Oh, I see.
Juliet gives me the same small smile that Aspen did when I mentioned my person yesterday. I know they think it's probably hopeless, but I can't give up. I don't understand how they don't understand, since both of them always talk about caring for those close to you and making lasting bonds. Still, Hassan and Juliet have both done too much for me to hold that against them.
Well,
I think they're just
I
worried
wish
for
you
us.
the very best of luck. You know you can always ask me for help if you need any.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, is this something other than the person being like, I'm pretty sure it's like 99% chance that they're just like, oh yeah, Mio's person, Omega dead, lol. But like, it could also be something else, and the idea of it being something else is like scaring them like this much. It's starting to scare me a little bit.
Anytime. I'm going to head out now, but I'll make sure to come back early enough for you to go to Tip Hopper. Sounds good. I'll keep studying and working until then. Bye. Goodbye, Mia.
You know, I saw a TikTok the other day that was like, hey, listen, writers, never include introductions or farewells in your dialogue. It's cringe and it takes too much time. And I'm like, I don't know. Doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me. And I always feel like it might be a little awkward if characters don't just be like, if they never just are like, yeah, what's up, man? Hey, Tibby Tom. Or like, all right, later, boys. Yeah, that kind of stuff. But, you know, whatever. That's just me. As Juliet goes out the front door, she pops her parasol open to protect her from the sun, then strolls out and joins the day's crowds. I stare at the now closed door, thinking, I wonder if either Aspen or Juliet have ever felt the same way about someone as I have about my person. It's hard to describe it's a hard feeling to describe. It's something warm. I may have forgotten a lot over the years, but I've never forgotten their face or voice, or the way they smelled like charcoal and paint. All those things are too important to forget. It's kept me going my whole life, been my entire reason for existence. At least until arriving in Wellington, anyway. Even with my new life here, I can't just abandon my old one. Not entirely. Oh, dude, when we find out that our person's dead, that's gonna destroy me, ho. Maybe they just don't know how much it means to me. I couldn't blame them since I've told them all about how little I cared about everything else. Since I've told them all about how little I cared about everything else. Gosh, I'm sorry, I'm reading that one more time. I couldn't blame them since I've told them all about how little I cared about everything else. Maybe they think it's like a hobby, something to pursue, and I have nothing else to do. But even here in the library, surrounded by friends and busying myself with my job, not a day goes by where I don't think. Okay, yep. It was in Korea. Yep. Not a day goes by where I don't think of that person back in Korea and my person, that forest back in Korea. It's okay if Aspen and Juliet don't understand. They don't need to. It's important to me, and that's all that matters. So far, they've supported me in whatever I do. In fact, when I think about those two, I feel a similar way as when I think about my person. That warm, safe feeling. It's not exactly the same, but it's close. I don't think that's a coincidence. There have been a lot of new feelings that I don't quite have words for. Like so many other parts of myself, I'm still trying to figure them out. That may take time, but I have plenty of it. Realizing that I've zoned out, I pull myself away from my thoughts and get back to focusing on work and studying. I may have lots of time, but I need to make sure I use it well. Only an hour or two later, I look up from my work to see Juliet returning from her errands. Folding up her parcel, she soon joins me at the front desk again.
Hello again, Mia. I tried to hurry back so you'd have plenty of time at the museum. You can go ahead and head off. I can handle the library for the rest of the day. Cool, thanks. I tried to clean up and do as much as I could before you got back. Thank you. I appreciate it. Enjoy yourself. You'll have to tell me all about it when you get back. Will do.
I put away my study materials in my room, and then with a big thumbs up to Juliet, leave the library.
Fresh air again.
Since I've been spending so much time, sorry, this song is just always a bop. I realized I started bobbing my head. I was like, you guys can probably hear it in my voice, but then I was like, you guys can also probably just see me just bobbing my head with it. I love this song. Since I've been spending so much time inside since I started working, my walks and times outside are more refreshing than they used to be. The birds singing sound prettier, the scent of food wafting up from the town smells tastier, and I'll bet even the grass would feel softer if I was in my fox form to feel it. It's been a long time since I've transformed now that I think about it. I need to stay focused for today, though. With the museum as the only thing on my mind, I pick up my pace as I walk into Wellington, heading along the now familiar streets. I pass by the Bell House and glance inside, but I don't see Aspen. She mentioned she'd be working late today, so she must be in the back or maybe on a... Wait, but we need to make sure to see her. Don't we? If we don't see her tonight, then she'll forget about us. I follow the direction she gave me yesterday until I reach the building that has to be my destination. It's big with parts that go off in all different directions. Near the front, there are two sections flanking the entrance. One is round and tan, while the other is made of darker stone and looks more blocky. You know, this building's a vibe. I dig it. It's a bit intimidating, but seeing a few people heading in and out is reassuring. Taking a breath to steady myself, I stride on up. The entrance has a huge glass ceiling with glass doors that slide open when I approach them. I don't even have to pay or sneak in. The moment I step inside, I can safely say that I've never been in a place like this before. It looked big from the outside, but from the inside it's huge. I don't even know where to look first. Different paths lead to different types of displays, and I can see floors and elevators going all the way to the top. A family walks by me, following a big arrow that points deeper into the building. Without any better ideas, I decide to take the same route. I'm sure I could ask someone where the exhibit is, but I'll look around on my own first. If I can't find it for a while, then I'll ask for help. I start to wander about once inside, looking for anything that I might recognize from Korea. To my surprise, there's plenty of other exhibits that also end up catching my eye. In one section, a variety of sea life, fish, turtles, and others hang from wires above everything else. They look so lifelike that I think they're real animals at first, but after staring closely, I can see that they're just models. Another part of the museum is filled with skeletons of what look like giant monsters. I can't even imagine what kind of creatures they once were. Maybe dragons? Spotting a panel with some illustrations, I skip over for a quick look. They aren't dragons, but they look awfully close. I've only seen a dragon once or twice in my life, but I've never seen one of these. Other sections are dedicated to human and fabled civilizations. Okay, so fableds aren't like a secret. Like, everyone can just see Miho's fox ears. And everyone can see Cyrus's vines and Lena's wings. Okay. That was like the one part of the world that I was like a little shaky on understanding. Was if fables were just like an accepted part of society, or if this was supposed to be like a real world, but there are these guys that exist that just aren't really known about. Also, like, man, it looks so much brighter on this monitor than on like the monitor I'm looking at it on. Like, I was like thinking about that because I saw Miho's stomach and I was like, there's so much shading on there. I didn't notice that before. And then I looked back over and like, yeah, there's still like the same shading, but like it's a lot subtler because of like the coloring of this monitor. It's very weird. The civilizations, there are recreations of old human houses as well as diagrams showing fairy homes and werewolf dens, plus plenty of others. A tour guide talks to a small group as I walk around, explaining this and that. I go slower through this part, feeling a little nostalgic. I even recognize some of the human technology and knickknacks from long ago. I had no idea they were old enough to be part of a museum now. There's even a big memorial to the war, showing humans and fabled fighting against one another. At the front is a painting of when the peace treaty was signed, which was the start of humanity and fabled coexisting. I was around back then, but I stayed out of it. Just like I stayed out of most things. Honestly, the history doesn't interest me too much. This, I'm sure, Juliet would love to see that. This doesn't interest me a bit too much, but I'm sure Juliet would love to see this. I'm sure she already has at some point. Just when I'm thinking about giving up and asking for help, I finally find what I'm looking for. A large banner with some text that I recognize as Hangul. Is that how you pronounce that? The Korean writing system is hanging over a number of display cases and tabletop exhibits. I hurry over to get a closer look. It's quieter up here than it was on some of the lower floors. I'm about to take my time browsing without feeling like I'm getting in anyone's way. It's quieter up here than it was on some of the lower floors. I'm able to take my time browsing without feeling like I'm getting in anyone's way. At the same time, my heart starts to beat fast with anticipation. I may not know what I'm searching for, but I'm sure I'll know it when I see it. I start at the entrance and slowly make my way through. The first section is full of pottery and carvings, like from I am struggling so hard to read right now. I do apologize. Ha! Like from the brochure Aspen gave me, there are little animals and people carved out of stone, and even a few made of metal. A number of clay pots and vases sit on a pedestal next to them. Most are cracked or damaged, but some look as good as new. Moving on to the next part, there are a few intricate looking outfits adorning mannequins. Some are just pants and a jacket, but most are vividly colored dresses that hang to the floor. I can almost feel the delicate silk in my hands. If I was still a thief, I bet these would sell for a lot. After the clothes are paintings. Tigers and birds are common subjects, but so are people and cities too. Others feature gorgeous landscapes and flowers. I've never been a big fan of art, but somehow these are different. Looking at them doesn't make me sad, but it does make me feel something, like I'm wanting something I can't have. Suddenly it comes to me, a feeling I've heard about that I don't think I've experienced before. Homesickness. A painting of a green forest could be the one where I was born. I've passed through towns that looked like those in the paintings and hid from humans who looked like the ones shown inside of them. Not all the memories are good ones, but they're mine. There's not much that I can relate to nowadays, in terms of people or places. I have friends now, sure, but I don't have much in common with them. That's never mattered before, but now... I wish I could reach out and touch the paintings before me, just to feel something from the same era as me. Of course, they're behind ropes, which keep me well back. I reluctantly start to move on again. Just as I do, a certain painting catches my eye. It's small and displayed out of the way in a corner, as if nobody thought it was that important. The edges are jagged and torn, but the crucial part is still there. On one side, that was like a genuine jaw dropping moment of oh my gosh, wait, what? There's a fox? There's a fox surrounded by trees and leaves. Its fur is a different color than mine, but it's still clearly a fox. Just across from it is a human-like figure. She's dressed in an outfit similar to the ones I was just admiring, but that's not what stands out the most to me. On her head are two pointy ears, and several long, bushy tails peek out from the bottom of her dress. When I look at the fox again, I notice that it also has more than one tail. I breathe in deeply, as if I could inhale the scent of the forest just from this artwork. Another Gumiho? I take in all the details I can. She's smiling, but a sharp fang makes her smile look sinister. The hand at her side has the long claws instead of regular fingernails. Claws are clearly meant for ripping. Whatever she's looking and smiling at is missing, being part of the torn section. There's just a small part that remains. A pair of boots on the ground, surrounded by the edge of what must be a pool of blood. Only then do I notice the blood around her lips and on the ground beneath her claws. And then the unmistakable bone-white bead hanging from a string around her neck. It's glowing like the moon. I instinctively raise the hand on my neck, feeling my own bead. It's reassuringly warm to the touch. Somehow I get the feeling that the one in the painting would be ice cold. This portrait of Gumiho leaves me conflicted. There's the same longing I felt looking at the painting of the forest, but those claws and blood, those feel foreign and detached. Is this how most people view Gumiho? It explained the fear and terror that seemed to follow me wherever I went when I was younger. The curses and threats from farmers and townsfolk whenever they saw me. It wasn't until after the war, when the fable became more common in human lands, that I felt comfortable without my ears and my tail hidden. Even then, I'd sometimes get dirty looks just for existing. The threats were usually reserved when I got caught stealing. Still, I had never been like the Gumiho in the painting. Stealing is one thing, but hurting someone, that just isn't me. I wish I'd been able to explain that to them. I wonder how different my life would have been. Sorry to ruin the moment with the crinkle. I tear my eyes away from the painting, but I know I'll be thinking about it for a long time to come. There's no point on dwelling what could have been. I pass through the rest of the Korea exhibit quickly, barely glancing at the artifacts that I haven't seen yet. It isn't until I've nearly left the gallery that I see something that makes me pause again. In a small and unremarkable display case among many others, there are a number of delicate scrolls. On each one, a few old-style Korean characters are written. I don't think they're Hangul, but I don't know what they're called. They do look familiar, though. I left my own scroll back at home for safekeeping, but I don't need it with me to compare. The sweep of the brushstrokes, the shape of the characters, the shade of the ink. Closing my eyes and breathing in deeply, I swear I can smell them. My person. I press my hand against the glass. This is the closest I've been in hundreds of years. After centuries of looking, I finally...
No touching.
That it's been so quiet of just me reading that genuinely kind of scared me to hear like another voice. I leap backwards as someone shouts. I look around and see a middle-aged woman wearing a badge and a museum t-shirt stalking towards me angrily. What's this song called? Somebody, someone. I don't remember what it's called. But this is like a different version of it. It sounds really good. Or is this just? I mean, obviously it's just an instrumental, but like it's different instruments than like what's in the vocal version of the track. I think the instincts I thought I'd buried kick in. It's time to run. Backing up, I look around for a getaway, but there isn't one. I'm surrounded on almost all sides by cases. The only open direction is the one the attendant is approaching from. Think, Miho, think. There has to be a way out of this. Could I jump over the displays? No, they're way too tall. Maybe if I transformed, I could get past the attendant. I have no idea how to navigate this building, though, and being a fox would attract way too much attention in a place like this. If I wait for them to get close, then I could probably run right past them like the security guard when I first arrived in Wellington. Heart racing, my panic must show on my face because they stop a couple meters away from me, frowning.
Hey, it's not that big a deal. Just please keep your hands off in the future.
With a shrug, they turn around, leaving me alone. That's it? My hands are shaking as I watch them retreat, expecting them to snap around and come after me. Of course that doesn't happen, and I'm very slowly able to relax. All I'm left feeling afterwards is a lot of embarrassment. Looking around me, I'm glad there aren't many people in this area. Nobody's looking at me either, whether out of politeness or because they just didn't notice. My face was burning red, and I looked down at the scrolls again just to hide it. I sigh. Maybe it was silly of me to think that I could change myself entirely in such a short time, considering I'd just been remembering the old days and all the abuse that I went through from humans. It makes some sense. Yeah, it was. That felt like that felt real, if that makes sense. Like the way she was reacting, like trying to think of like all the different ways now, like what to do and how like it, just with everything and like with the music too. That was a good moment. After I settled myself down a little, I turned my attention back to what's really important. While I know that these scrolls have to be from my person, they don't help me much on their own. There's a little card in one corner of the case covered in text. It might have something useful written on it, but that doesn't do me any good. I consider trying to copy it all down to have Aspen and Juliet read it to me later, but there's so many words that I'm not sure I could get them all. I gulp, looking at the museum attendant who I was so scared of just a moment ago. I do have one option. Summoning all my courage, I approach them slowly. They're just a regular person, I remind myself, like Aspen or Juliet, or even like me now, just doing their job.
Excuse me?
I hope that's polite enough. As she looks over to me, her face doesn't look annoyed, more bored.
Can I help you? I'm sorry for touching the glass. I was wondering if you could tell me a bit about those papers, like who wrote them. Like I said, it's no big deal. It's just a safety precaution so nothing gets damaged.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there's an informational plaque in the corner. It should have all those details.
Would they even believe me if I said I can't read? I worry that might make me even more suspicious.
Can't see very well, and the words are so small. Can you read it for me? Oh, sure. Let's see.
That was almost too easy. They don't question or analyze me at all, simply walking over and leaning in next to me.
Says here these were some of the first works by a calligrapher whose name was Jong-in in the 17th century. They were a scholar who lived in Korea and...
The attendant keeps reading, but I'm not listening. I've already gotten what I came for, a name. Zhang-in. I mean, it would be useful to listen to the rest of what she says, but, that's just me. For the first time, I have something to call them. Something that's unmistakably theirs. I pretend to listen to the rest of what's being read out loud and thank the person on autopilot when they're done. My head's not here in the present moment. It's back in the forest where I was born. Once I walked away, I say it out loud, trying out how it sounds. I think it fits them. I say it over and over, making sure I'll never forget. Finally, I have something to go off. Feeling a little bit dazed from the enormity of the moment, I find my way downstairs and wander out of the museum. I can't wait to tell Juliet and Aspen. This is gonna be so sad. I might no, dude. If Miho gets, I don't know. Just thinking about how it's gonna go, I'm already like, I might cry. I know I'll cry a little bit. I'm not excited. I'm not excited at all for that. Ha 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 ha. Anyways, that's gonna be the end of this one. I hope you all enjoyed, and I can't wait to see you all again in the next one. What do I usually say? I usually say something like something about you guys being lovely people. How do I normally say that? I'm never going to be able to say it again because now every single time I go to do an outro, I'll think about like, how do I say? I'll see all you lovely people in the next one. There we go. It's easy. It's so easy. I'll see all you lovely people in the next one. Bye-bye.